Great, thanks Andrew. And I think what Andrew opened up with is very topical, and from my experience being in the IT industry now nearly 25 years, in the 25 years of the shifts I've seen us go from mainframe to distributed computing to now cloud and now this thing called mobile. The mobile is probably transforming the computer industry far beyond anything I've seen in the 25 years I've been in the IT industry. So I think what you'll see, I'll touch on some of this. If you're not already seeing it in your businesses, you're going to see it. So as I was introduced, I'm responsible for Samsung's enterprise business here in our region, Southeast Asia, Asia Pacific. And what that essentially means is I work with all our large corporate customers, global banks, large enterprises, down to local industry companies in how does Samsung bring technology around mobility or other IT solutions to help transform their business. But if we're focusing on mobile particularly, what is going on in the mobile world? And you're going to see many different organisations give you perspectives and stats, but reality is all these things are happening. When I speak to enterprise customers, all of them have got on their mind of how do we move to more of a mobile world, whether it's giving their staff devices, whether they're transforming, how do I make teams more productive by giving them these mobile applications. And these are some of the proof points that are going on, whether 87% of people that are in a mobile role, they're going to get a mobile device provided by companies. And this trend is definitely happening. But sort of what's driving all this? I like to call it that the perfect storm has happened for us in the industry. And it doesn't apply to every country. So if I was in Indonesia or Vietnam presenting this, I really couldn't put up the perfect storm because quite frankly their infrastructure is definitely not ready for this. But in developed markets like New Zealand, you really have the perfect storm happening, and it's really about what Gen I provides or your telcos provide, that you've got a very fast network now, you've got cloud-based applications, you've got these mobile apps, but then you've got these devices we call them smartphones or tablets, but I refer to them as pocket PCs, but even customers are now correcting me saying it's more than a pocket PC. So when you look at this sort of smartphone, it's got a quad processor. The current version has only 2 gig of memory, and I say only 2 because that might give you a hint we're going to change that soon. And they've got 64 gig hard drives, or you can put more in. So I think that's the power of these devices, and this is what, when we talk to enterprise customers, is really changing the mind shift. Forget the primary application when this was purchased was probably for voice, but actually the real application where IT leaders can now look at this is your next compute type device. And I'll share with you some of the examples of what we're seeing going on. So that's the perfect storm. You've got the fast network, you've got cloud-based applications, mobile apps, and really intelligent end-user devices. Now, this is not a phenomenon that's happening in one vertical alone. From a Samsung perspective, we're working across all these verticals, building either end-user apps or partnering with companies like Gen I, companies like SAP, companies like Cisco, to bring the whole ecosystem together to provide a solution that you would want in your particular vertical. Banking and finance, many different applications. Some of the ones that we're working on that are really, I think, transformational around payments. And I think we're going to hear a little bit about mobile payment on the consumer side. But when I talk about payments, it's more from the enterprise side, because what we've seen is there's been some real legacy infrastructure players that have been in the payment world that it still is a segment of the market that hasn't been transformed for many years. So if you think about those clunky payment devices when you go and swipe your card at a retail outlet, imagine if you transform that and do it with a more innovative way, and then how engaging you could be, because now you've got a device that could be two-way and you can do a whole lot more with it than just swiping a card. So there's a lot of transformational things, whether it's banking and finance, hospitality. We're working with partners that, imagine you go into a hotel, you walk in, your smartphone tells the hotel you've walked in. You don't even have to go and register. They'll send you your virtual key to your phone. You'll walk up, put your phone onto the lift, walk up to the room door, because I will have sent you a message to say, this is your room, welcome to the hotel. Put it onto the door, your door opens, and all of a sudden your phone turns into the remote control for the room. I can control the air conditioning, the TV, and all those functions I can do when I'm not even in the room. So if you're like me that travels around a lot, one thing I do hate when I go to some of these hot climates, I get to the room and it's so stuffy. So if I could turn the aircon on 10 minutes before I even get to my room, that would be good for me. So we've worked with software partners to give that experience in hospitality and education. I can go on all these different verticals. We've done a lot of work with partners, or what solutions Samsung's done to really transform using mobile devices that will change the way we do things that we probably haven't thought about a lot before. Now, the next part that's really going on, and there's a lot of debate about Android particularly. People will challenge us on, is Android the right platform for an enterprise customer? Is it secure? Well, from a Samsung perspective, we would say it is very secure because we've invested very heavily in creating what we call Samsung Android. We put in more APIs, we can do more with that OS than any other Android vendor, but we've also gone further and made it more secure than other OSs in the market. So it's not just saying in an Android world are we secure, but put us up against the traditional platforms. We can give you as secure, if not more secure, environments for your enterprise. Now, the other phenomena here, which is quite interesting, I think, in this market, because this is a very, dare I call it a fruit market, and we in other parts of the region are very strong. So I'll give you an example. In countries like Malaysia, we are 70% market share in the smartphone tablet. In other markets, like in Indonesia, 50%. We are the more stronger positioned company for the platforms in the mobile world, really outside of the ANZ area. So that sort of proves that, you know, we're doing all these applications in other markets. We can do it here as well. And the trend is that we're seeing strong growth in both the tablet and the smartphone. And this is a phenomenon, as you'll see, and you're probably not, you know, you're seeing that happen in this market, so it's probably not different. So in terms of the device itself, it's really what can I do with it that's really going to transform, you know, because there's no point just taking on technology for technology's sake. There's got to be rationale and reasons. And one thing we are finding, because from a Samsung perspective, we support, you know, Android, we support Windows, so we have devices for both platforms. And we do get a lot of feedback from CIOs that, you know, they want to stay with Windows. So we have a full Windows 8 range. And that's quite interesting for us to see, because obviously that's going to help you stay in your legacy apps environment. And there's some industries where we think that's probably going to be around for some time, because the cost of moving from a Windows environment to another platform may be cost prohibitive. But so we will have a full range. But the other part we've realized when it comes to the types of devices, it's not a one size fits all. You know, you want to have anything that's easy to carry around. You know, as I show, you know, this device, this is our Note 2. It has a pen that you can write on the screen and things. So it's really, you know, and then we have what we call a mini, which is small, which is similar to an iPhone, all the way up to different size tablets. So it's really about matching the device to your requirements. But then it's also working closely with our telco partners like Genai and how we bring all that solution together. Things were built in NFC technology. So NFC technology is opening up a whole lot of different applications, whether it's payments is the big one, but then it could be replacing your employee card. And it's like that hotel experience I spoke to you about. That's all based on NFC technology. So imagine you can walk into your office, you don't have to have an ID card anymore, you just tap your phone, it's got all your details, it registers you onto your corporate network and you're in. Now the other parts I'm showing here are applications where we've put VDI capabilities onto a smartphone. So I can demonstrate running either Citrix or VMware on this, emulate a PC, do everything you'd want, the same performance pretty much because it's got the quad processor and 2 gig of memory. Now we're changing the way you might think about thin client. And we've got some large multinational companies that we're working with that have changed their thin client strategy because they've now seen I can run thin client on a smart device like this. This can be my compute because the little white box here we've got is a smart dock, and the smart dock allows you, as soon as you plug into your monitor, it'll right size the screen, it'll look like your normal PC screen and things. So there's some of the tools we've created. The other thing is BYOD. A lot of questions around, is BYOD something we should adopt and all that. I think there's different variations of BYOD, and it's not as simple as saying I'm adopting a BYOD strategy, because I think for a lot of IT leaders, particularly from a support point of view, opens up a real challenge. And most of what I see with companies deploying this is not what I'd call real corporate apps. Most people are just trying to put email and calendar on for their staff on their BYOD device. To me, that's not really the power of what you can do with the mobile device. There's a whole lot more because of what these can do. So to sort of just wrap up on my session, and we will have a panel, and I will be around to speak with any of you later. The complexity of this shouldn't be underestimated, and I think this is probably what a lot of IT leaders are faced with when you want to go to a mobile world. You've got to work out all these elements, whether it's from the application, devices, the security, the middleware, the back end, and how does this all come together? So at least from a Samsung perspective, we understand the complexity. We are working with our partners and building the capability to work with our end user customers to help you solve all this and work through how do you convert into a mobile company and take advantage of the new technologies that are coming out and transforming businesses. So I'd like to thank you for your time this morning, and I'll catch up with you later. Thank you. Right. Thank you.